virus, this is a kind of a software which tries to attack your system. It could be just the deletion of different file structures, it could be encryption of your file structures, it could be related to taking out the transactions or bank data from you, or trying to do some kind of illegal transactions. Those are computer virus. The second one is computer worm. It is very similar to computer virus. The only difference is that the computer virus is something which requires a trigger. So there would be some kind of trigger that you click on some kind of pop-up. Let's say you got a pop-up suddenly while you are browsing the internet that you have won an iPhone or you have won $1 million, and you click on the pop-up and the computer virus will be downloaded at your end. Computer worm, on the other hand, doesn't require a trigger. This is the one which self-manipulates. Like if a computer has the computer worm, it will self-regenerate, self-transfer, or self-connect with other computers and transfer itself to the other computer. So that's computer worm kind of software, which currently keep on processing and keep on transferring from one computer in a network to the second computer. Scareware is a very common thing. This is something which most of the organizations appoint. This is where they will give you that you are at risk. So you have seen that suddenly you get a pop-up from antivirus that you are currently at risk. This is the total number of files you have quarantined and this has happened. So that's a scareware. Although it's not kind of like a security threat, but what they are trying to do, they are trying to actually scare you into buying their product. So that's a scareware. Keylogger is a very common thing. There are a lot of softwares available for keylogger. Keylogger is something which is installed once on your computer. It will keep on logging all the keys which you type on it, and it's a very good tool to figure out the passwords and usernames for an individual. Keylogger is more towards the individual end, because we try to keylog just one single individual and try to figure out his process or his vulnerabilities or his passwords. But this is not that much towards the server end, because if we put keylogger towards the server, then it will actually log all the activities by the various users, and the data will be quite huge for us to analyze. Then we have adware. Adware is again very common. You might have seen that once you go to Google Chrome and visits or do some kind of search on Google, suddenly you are getting so many ads, and those ads are not those ads which are coming from Google AdWords. It's mainly just that adware has fired up and it's giving you a lot of ads throughout your search results. So that's adware. Malware is a very generalized terms. We can call computer virus or scareware or adware or computer worm as a malware. So malware is more of like a generalized term for all these kind of different computer security threats which we have listed here. Then we have backdoor. Backdoor is more towards the network security. As I discussed, hacking is not just that you have an application where the person is trying to just trying to just solve your username and password. It's not just that. What hacking is actually on different devices and different ways how the whole process works. So it could be that you have a web application where the person is trying to attack your system by trying to do some kind of attack such as SQL injection, HTML injection, PHP injection, or it could be they are trying to run a CSS attack or a CSRF attack. So cross-site scripting attack could be there. So that's only the part of web application. But if you take the other kinds of domains under hacking, then you have the network domain where you have to deal with the network security, and there the person tries to access the server through some kind of security vulnerabilities which are present with the server. It could be that you have some kind of known vulnerabilities which are present. It could be that you are using some kind of default usernames and password, and the person, instead of trying to take over your application, is trying to take over your server. And backdoor is also one of those computer security threats where they try to take a backdoor to your server, and through there they try to access your system. And similarly, the hacking has for mobile devices also. You have multiple hacks which are available on mobile devices. One of the famous hacks used to happen on Android devices, which was known as clickjacking. So you just tap on your mobile phone, but what the hacker does, hacker actually takes over your tapping. So once you tap on your mobile phone, your tapping is redirected to his own website where he can run a script or execute something else to hack your system. So that's related to mobile devices. So different domains of hacking, and different domains functions very differently. Ethical hacker has to work in all these domains. He has to be proficient with the web domain, the network domain, and the mobile domain. After that, we have Trojan. Trojan, you might have known that, you might have seen in the old kind of like ancient Rome time. What is a Trojan? Trojan is basically a wooden horse which has many soldiers inside, and the Romans used to send them to war, and the other country or the other king used to think that this is just a horse which is coming to him, but those soldiers were actually hiding inside the horse. So that's what Trojan is under computer networks also, that although the computer is able to think that this is something accepted, this is a normal behavior which is coming in, but on the back end of this normal behavior there are many computer viruses, worms, or different kinds of malwares which are being executed. Then we have ransomware. Ransomware is again very common, and this one actually happened in 2014, the recent one, which was known known as WannaCry. This was the one where you suddenly got a red pop-up on your screen and it says that you have to pay them some money in US dollars or transfer them bitcoins. And this was used very heavily, where they encrypted your data, and if you don't pay them the money by that time, then the ransomware will delete all your hard drive. So that's ransomware. And then finally we have spyware. Spyware is again a very common thing, and spyware is something which is actually now more towards the government side and the organization side instead of the normal individual hackers. So there was one example that Sony was actually coming up with their Walkman, and under Walkman they had this service where you can actually say or try to put up some words, and according to that the Walkman is going to play your music. The thing was that later on people found out that Sony actually was using that for recording the people voices as a spyware, and they were actually using that data and sending it to the governments. Later on that Walkman actually removed that, but this is one of the examples of spyware which came into being. So spyware is basically where they are monitoring you, they are trying to figure out what you are using and how you are using the services. So these are some computer security threats which an ethical hacker needs to manage. He needs to know about what is a virus, what is a worm, how virus and worms perform, what are the different techniques where they might infect the servers or the organization, and how should I do the process of mitigation to make sure that our computer servers and organizations are not affected by the same. So you have to think with the mind of a normal hacker, but in the end you have to report the same to the organization to help them in safeguarding their services. So that's what the ethical hacking process is.